All right, so today we're going to show you a classic example of what it looks like when a homeowner gets taken advantage of by a roofing contractor. Let's check this out. Well, we got a call from a homeowner here in San Antonio that said that they were in kind of a tight spot. They had a roofing contractor come out about a year ago, inspect their roof, and indicated to them that there was a ton of hail damage present on the home. And so the homeowners actually filed an insurance claim. They called their insurance company like they're supposed to do, and they reported quite a significant amount of hail damage to their roof. Now, the insurance company sent out an adjuster. This is a licensed individual under the state of Texas that's able to identify and quantify hail damage and put a dollar value to the cost to repair that damage. Now, this adjuster came out and informed the homeowners that in their opinion, they did not have storm-related damage to the roofing system, and they indicated that they believed the homeowner was trying to commit what's called insurance fraud. That's when you lie or manufacture damage to your building material in an attempt to get the insurance company to pay for it. So because the homeowners felt like they were in a very tough situation, they reached out to a lawyer to represent them in a case against their insurance company. Remember, their insurance company is accusing them of felony fraud at this point. So the lawyer in this instance reviewed all the photos and the documentation pertinent to this loss. And the lawyer indicated to the customers, the homeowners, that in his opinion, what they were experiencing or what they were seeing in their documentation was not consistent with storm-related damage, i.e. wind and hail, but rather it was consistent with manufactured damage. So the homeowners called A5 Roofing. They asked us to come out to see if we could document the condition of the building material and put together a photo report indicating what we saw and what we found. I'm going to go over that with you now. So the first thing that we notice when we mark up all of the hail damage on this roof is that these hail impact marks are in the center of all of these tabs of shingles on the 3-tab shingle system. And when we take our hail gauge, we can put this down here on the mark, and we can see that this hail impact mark is between 0.75 and 1 inches in diameter. That means the hail that would have fallen on this property should be about 1.5 inches in total diameter, and the mark on the roof should be about 3/4 to 1 inch in diameter. Now, what we would expect to find with a hail strike of that size is actual bruising of the fiberglass matting. That's when the shingle underneath would have a dimple or an impressed feature across the bottom, where the fiberglass matting would have been stressed by the impact force from that hailstone. Now, there's no bruising on this 3-tab shingle, which helps us kind of understand that this was not caused by impact. And then also something that we should note when we're inspecting this kind of marks or this sort of phenomenon on the shingle is that this is in the center of all of these 3-tab shingles. Now, I don't know if you know this or not, but hail does not discriminate, and it also does not seek out the center of every shingle. Something else that we want to point out is the extent of the damage on the front slopes of the home. You'll notice there is a ton of impact marked all across the front slope, the front left slope and the front right slope of the home. And when we inspect the rest of the property, we should expect to find impact markings of similar quantities across the rest of the slopes of the roof. Let's go to the rear slope of the roof. I'm going to show you something interesting. Now, here on the rear slope of the home, you can see we've got a bunch of solar panels on here. We also have some solar powered attic vents on the roof, and these are made of metal. So if hail impacted the front slopes of the home, we should expect to find not only dents or hail spatter across the powered attic vents, but we should expect to see some hail or spatter marks across the solar panel array, and we actually see none of those. What you'll also notice is in these hard to reach spots here between the solar panels and on the steep slopes of the roof, there are very little to no hail impacts across these hard to reach areas. But when we get down to the lower portion of the upper roof that's adjacent to the lower slope, that's easily accessible from the lower slope, you'll start to notice quite a significant amount of hail impacts across that easy to reach area. And that's not something that we see on some of these harder to reach areas. There's much less indicated hail impact marks. So here on the rear slope of the home, you'll see the same thing that we saw on the front slope of the home. Most, if not all, of these hail impact marks are in the direct center of all of these asphalt shingles. They're not on the edges, they're not on the tops, they're not on the bottoms. These are a uniform appearance across the roof surface, and they all happen to be in the center portion of these shingles. And again, that is not what hail typically appears like on an asphalt shingle. And if we can come across to this slope of the roof, you'll also notice our powered attic vents. They are metal bodied. There are no dents, there are no damage on this roof. And the most significant thing that helps us understand what's going on with this roofing system is the actual physical appearance of hail spatter marks on this junction box. When you have dried metal on a roofing system, a lot of times when hail does hit it, it'll leave or impregnate moisture back into the dried or painted metal surface. And when we take a tool that we have to help measure the diameter of some of this, you'll see I'm coming up with about a 1/4 inch diameter to the largest hail spatter mark, which indicates the largest hailstone to strike this property is about a 1/2 inch in diameter. And when we pull the storm weather data for this GPS location, the last 6 years doesn't show us any hail present on the property greater than a 1/2 inch. So we can almost definitively assume that by the dark nature of these hail impact marks, these marks were made on this shingle about a year ago at the very most. If they were in fact 6 or 7 years old, they would be much lighter, grayer, and would have much more fiberglass showing in them, because your asphalt shingle is made of oil, and these spots would be exposed to ultraviolet light, which would cause them to dry out significantly over time. Now, this is not a problem that's just unique to Texas. This is actually a problem that's unique to almost every state when it comes to insurance restoration work. The thing about Texas that makes this unique is that Texas is one of the few states that doesn't require licensing for roofing contractors. So a contractor that does this and could get sued for something like this, there's nothing stopping them from changing their name and opening up another LLC in 2 or 3 months and starting another roofing company. If there were licensing requirements in Texas, and if the state of Texas did register roofing contractors, then there would be a state-issued license that would be not only grievable, but there would be a process in place from keeping unscrupulous contractors like this from ever getting another license for roofing in the state of Texas ever again. So the moral of the story is this. Not all roofing contractors are the same. Not everybody's going to come out and tell you the God's honest truth. Some folks are going to come out here and tell the homeowner what they think they need to tell them in order to make quite a bit of money off of a job like this. The important takeaway here is that you need to be vetting your contractor. You need to be asking for references. You need to be checking things like the Roofing Contractor Association of Texas's website to see if they are registered. Because roofing companies or roofing contractors that haven't been in business longer than 2 years or that have ever been sued for stuff like this, they're not able to get a license or be registered inside of RCAT. And that's something that's put in place to not only help level the playing field amongst the roofing companies in Texas, but also to protect homeowners from situations like this. To contact the most customer-focused roofing contractor in all of Texas, give us a call, 210-517-1777, or visit us online at a5roof.com.